is the approach you're following something that you can sustain as a lifestyle, not just something that you're going to suffer through in the short term? And the big thing you need to wrap your head around right from the start is you're not going to get in shape with some short-term program, like a 30-day shred or some 12-week transformation or any other quick fix plan. If your fitness and fat loss program has a start and an end date, the results are only temporary, right? You need to look at this as a lifestyle change. I mean, there is no finish line, there is no end date. It's just a never-ending process of making daily improvement for the rest of your life. And the good news is it doesn't have to be perfect to get started. And very often the first steps can be so simple that most people don't even think that they're worthwhile. I mean, they almost discredit it because it's so simple. I mean, we just need to kind of lay some basic habits, some basic fundamental routines into your day-to-day life. It doesn't have to be this big, massive overhaul. So for example, instead of worrying about like, hey, what's the best workout program? What's the best training split? Like, how do I break up my body parts? What's the best set and rep pattern? What's the best exercise tempo? And you're muddling and get tangled up in the weeds. Or same when it comes to nutrition, you're nitpicking over, hey, what should my calories and my macros and all this be? And what supplements should I take? And when should I take those supplements? And let's just focus on being better than you were before, right? That's it. So first off, like when it comes to the workouts, are you even working out right now? If not, well, okay, let's start. let's just schedule some time in the day when you're actually going to show up to the gym. Whether that's first thing in the morning, whether that's on your lunch break, whether it's right after work, but you need to look at your schedule and say, like, when can I realistically commit to doing some daily exercise? And put that in the calendar, put that in and schedule it in just like you would an important meeting, whether that's a work meeting, whether that's a doctor's appointment or something along those lines. Like when you have these important appointments, you schedule them into your calendar and then you work everything around those appointments. The same has to be done with your workouts. You schedule that in first and then work the rest of your life around it. So let's just say you decide that, hey, first thing in the morning, I can go to the gym. So I get up extra early, I get to the gym, get my workout done, and then it's done, it's in the bank, and then I can carry on with the rest of my day, but I have the workout done. Right? If that works for you, great. Now, I know some people, you maybe have a really early shift, like maybe you got to be at work for 6 a.m. or something like that. So it's not really practical for you to try and get a workout done first thing in the morning. Maybe you can do it on your lunch break. Like maybe you got a lunch hour and you say, well, you know what, there's a gym not too far from my work, or maybe you work in a place that actually has a gym. Like one of my coaching students that I was working with, they actually had a fitness center at their place of work, but he didn't take advantage of it because he said, well, I only got an hour for lunch. What can I do in an hour? Blah, blah, blah. It's not worth it. And I say, you have this time every single day. Okay, we're not going to do the whole lunch hour, but let's take half an hour and do a half an hour workout on your lunch break, right? That still gives you time to get cleaned up and have something to eat before you got to go back to work afterwards. So we did that, and we actually structured a workout routine, taking advantage of his lunch break. Maybe you can do something similar, or maybe you do it right after work. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. They schedule their workouts right after work and get it done. But whenever it is that you do it, it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong here. It's just when is it going to fit your schedule and when can you commit to doing that? That's the first step. Schedule it in. Schedule it in advance. Make it a non-negotiable. All right. Once it's done, then we can always optimize it and tweak, the exercises and the training split and all the different variables. But the first step is you have to standardize it. You have to have that in your calendar as a non-negotiable and commit to it, right? Because I'll work out when I have time or when I'm not busy, and when everything else is done, then I'll get around to that workout. No, it's never going to happen. There's always going to be something coming up. If you're busy and you got a family and a career and kids and yada, 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 I mean, there's always something on your calendar. So you have to take the bull by the horns and put it in your calendar and then schedule everything else around it, right? Just the same as you would an important appointment for anything, whether it's a work appointment, doctor's appointment, family appointment, schedule it in advance. And we can take a similar approach when it comes to your nutrition as well. One of the strategies I like to use with my coaching students to get the ball rolling and to build some positive momentum is to take a reverse psychology approach to nutrition. So instead of obsessing over all the bad things that you have to fix, let's focus on some good things that you need to add in. Like, How about we just add an extra serving of protein with your main meals? How about we add an extra serving of vegetables? How about we drink more water? We just focus on all these good habits that we already know we should be doing, but we make sure that we're actually doing them consistently. Focus on adding in the good. And by doing so, you'll naturally squeeze out some of those not so good habits. Because if you're filling up on protein, you're filling up on vegetables, you're filling up and drinking lots of water and all this high volume, nutrient dense stuff, you don't need to worry about cutting out carbs or eliminating bad food because you're naturally going to get full on that stuff. And it's going to be less room for those not so good food choices later on. Now, once that becomes a habit and a routine, then we can certainly fine tune it and optimize it further than that. But just start with something. Like, don't overwhelm yourself with too much too soon. Just start with some fundamentals first, and then give yourself permission to take imperfect action and then make it better as you go. And